Aloha and welcome to E Ola Pono with Mr. E. This is our kitchen and we're here to live a balanced life and eat good food. And the first thing we always do is wash our hands. We want to make sure everything we do here is healthy and safe. I mean, that's the whole reason that we're here, right? And while I'm here with the water, I'll also start washing some of these ingredients that I'll be using in some of our recipes here today. We got these apple bananas packed with potassium, which is an awesome nutrient that your body needs to keep your muscles strong and not let them cramp when you're doing a bunch of exercises. So I love this fruit, and these are grown here actually in Kona. Sometimes I think it's really important to be creative in this world. So if you mindfully take a little bit of time to arrange your food, I think you'll really enjoy it even more, especially when it comes to snack time. So today I'm super excited. I've got 3 recipes here for y'all. First, a classic, ants on a log. Second, we're gonna get down with some skewers and make some handy, fruity, snacky skewers. Lastly, we're gonna up our kitchen skills just a little bit more, and we're actually gonna make classic banana pancakes. So our first recipe here today is a classic that I actually loved making when I was in kindergarten, okay? It's called ants on a log. So this banana, I actually like to peel my bananas. Usually people like to peel them this way, but I like to peel them gorilla style. So I like to turn them upside down like this, grab it right there by this side, and actually pinch that little end section and actually twist at the same time. And then that's actually gonna bring this whole piece down, giving me a nice banana peel. I'm actually gonna cut on a cutting board, okay? So I like using a cutting board because it keeps everything nice and steady. If I use a plate, things tend to get kind of uneven. So I like to use a cutting board. And I'm gonna make sure to find a good spot where I can actually stand upright. Now, it's important to have power and strength in the kitchen, okay? Just like in the classroom, just like anything you do in life. So I like to stand at a little bit of an angle so my hips are a little bit angled back. So I've got a lot of room here with my arm, and that's gonna be where I cut. So I'm gonna come down on my cutting board, make sure that everything is nice and clear on my cutting board, and I'm gonna cut them vertically, actually, okay? So that's how I'm gonna end up cutting these banana slices. It's gonna be perfectly making it look like a log. I'm gonna cut this into about 3 fractional pieces right here that are all vertical, and I'm gonna be careful. Make sure the butter knife goes down, makes contact with the board, and then I'm gonna slide it across, making sure I watch out for my fingers. Even though this isn't a sharp knife, I still don't wanna get it anywhere near my fingers, okay? So there's my first banana slice right there, okay? I'm gonna try and make another one there. Mindful about how you work in the kitchen. There's my 3, well, what I'm gonna call logs, okay? Now that is the base of my snack right there, okay? So these are the 3 pieces of apple banana, now sliced vertically, and that's gonna bring me over to the next ingredient. You guessed it, it's peanut butter. Peanut butter is a delicious treat, high in fat, high in protein, but really, really tasty, and eaten in moderation, it can actually be good for you throughout the day. You might find that it's got like oil at the top. What's important is that you actually take a knife, and this is why I use a second butter knife for this recipe. I don't want to get all my banana bits from when I was slicing my bananas into my peanut butter, because what I'm going to do is dig this knife all the way down and actually start to, that's right, turn that. Now what's going to happen is that oil is going to start to mix up with all that peanut that's in there. and it's actually going to make it all nice and smooth, okay? Now, not everyone gets peanut butter that looks like this. Some people get peanut butter that's chunky. Some people get peanut butter that just doesn't have to be mixed like this. And always remember that if you can't have peanuts, you can also substitute it for anything like honey, sunflower butter, almond butter, cashew butter, anything that would really help to keep raisins on a banana. Now, like I said, the more you think about your food, actually, well, the better it'll be. So the more mindful you are in the kitchen, the better you actually take care of your body. And the better you take care of your body, well, the better person you can be and the better choices you can make in life. So that's the really cool thing about making sure that even if you've got a new jar of peanut butter, you really treat it with respect and you really try and make sure that you use this ingredient the best way you can. Here's my logs. Here's my peanut butter. I'm gonna take this peanut knife. Here's about like a little knife full here, and I'm gonna go ahead and take that and I'm gonna smear it right across this vertical cut right here, okay? So I'm gonna close that up and I'm gonna wrap up this recipe. I just got one more step and it's these raisins right here. Now, I love golden raisins. My partner, she does not like them as much, but you know, everyone's got their choices. I think actually the regular raisins work a little bit better as ants. And as I looked at these, I'm like, well, these don't really look like ants. But the idea is that here's your log, here's your ants. Finishing up this recipe, that's right. You're just gonna take a couple of ants and put them right over your log. If you're the kind of person that likes raisins, well, put a couple more on there. If you're the kind of person that maybe doesn't like raisins that much, you don't have to have any ants on your log. This is the cool thing about cooking your own food, is you can actually make it the way you like it. I think this recipe is simple enough for you to actually make it yourself. But if you're ever deciding to take some time in the kitchen, make sure you do talk to your family. Because even something simple like this does require tools and does require some thinking and some planning. So here's our first snack. It's ants on a log. And this tasty little snack, it doesn't look like anything special, but it's like a nice little forest treat, ants on a log. Creamy peanut butter. You got a nice little sweet banana on the bottom. And you got that raisin that kind of like, you gotta chew through it a little bit more. And it makes everything like a lot more fun to eat because you got a lot more going on. I'm gonna put these on a plate for later on, because I'm going to be sharing this snack with a really special friend, okay? But let's take a moment. I'm going to wash my hands again. Get ready for our second recipe, okay? Handy, snacky, fruity skewers, which I think are a real hit, especially at a party. So it's gonna have their base banana again. These bananas are locally grown and, like I said, full of just great nutrients that really keep us moving, and it's a great snack throughout the day. But I'm gonna open it up gorilla style again. Now, instead of me throwing this one away, actually, some people like to take these banana peels, and they are excellent for composting and being turned into very, very healthy soil to make even more food and grow more food. So when we're talking about bananas, we're really talking about the whole thing. So talk to your family about composting if you're wondering what to do with a lot of banana peels now that you're starting to cook with so many bananas, okay? So I got the banana here, and for this second recipe, I'm not gonna cut them vertically. I'm actually gonna go ahead and cut these horizontally fractional pieces, okay? When I think about this, I'm probably gonna have about 8 fractional pieces here, and I wanna watch out for my fingers as I go. This one right here is probably just a little bit too small for what we're looking for. So we're looking for something that's maybe a little bit thicker than that, okay? Yeah, that's perfect. I would say that's about ½ inch. And the important thing for recipes and cooking is trying to be as consistent and even as possible. When you're even and when you keep things equal, like all fractions, it helps things to cook easier, it helps things to be eaten easier, and it helps people to enjoy your food much more. So when we're thinking about cooking and keeping everything pono, we want to really try and be mindful about how we make things. Gonna be another one of my favorites right here. This is another island-grown strawberry. Now strawberries, we washed them before and they have their seeds on the outside. You're allowed to eat the seeds if you didn't know that, okay? Sure, I'm gonna use my same cutting board, same butter knife here. Nothing too sharp yet, just because these fruits don't really need anything that sharp. So if you don't need it, you don't have to use it. I'm gonna show you all more knife skills as we get a little bit further down throughout this summer, okay? So we got our strawberry here, and all I wanna do is make a really small cut that just cuts just that green part off right there. Gonna go ahead and take this, get my nice powerful stance, and make a nice steady cut right there. And that's gonna go ahead and take that off and make that nice and flat. Now for the next strawberries, some people actually don't really like to cut these off because if you can tell, like there's still some really tasty strawberry bits on there. It's really the green parts and the really just the tough, rough parts that we don't want to eat. So when we think about that, some other ways that some people do are they just gather all of these green parts from the leaf, okay? And then they actually just firmly grasp it with their fingers and twist it and just pull out that part right there. And there, as you can see, you've got a lot more strawberry than the first one. It's up to you what your preference is and really what you like to eat. So I'm gonna do this to about just a few more strawberries, and I'm gonna choose this way so we get more snacks for my for this treat here, okay? Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and take these tops and I'm gonna put them actually with the rest of my banana peels because, well, something that you can do is actually add this to your compost as well. That'll be something we talk about later on, okay? So we're talking about our bananas, we're talking about our strawberries, and like I said, it's all about presentation, okay? Now, presentation. This is a tool that we call a skewer. It's available in a lot of grocery stores. I got mine from a local grocery store when I picked up a few of these other ingredients to show you all at KTA next to like the housewares, and that's where you'll find this kind of tool. You want to be careful with this. Now the more we start using tools in the kitchen, it's awesome because we can do more fun and exciting things that help our presentation and help our final product, right? Be something that we're proud of. But when we're dealing with more tools, we need to be mindful about how we use them. So the skewers got a sharp part on one end right here, okay? And that's the part we want to be very mindful of. On this end, it's more blunt, okay? Still want to be careful because this thing is skinny and this thing could really just be something that you want to be careful with in the kitchen. So anytime you're in the kitchen, make sure you got space, make sure you're powerful, make sure you're in control. Go ahead and take actually my first piece of banana right here, and I'm going to go ahead and find the center right there, and I'm going to go ahead and make sure that this pointy part is pointed away from me. That is something that chefs always keep in mind. How do I keep the most dangerous thing away from me? So I'm going to keep that pointy part away from me, okay? And I'm going to find that center part of that banana carefully, in control, and slide it all the way down to the bottom. Now this is cool because it serves as a base. And yeah, you guessed it. We're going to go ahead and take a strawberry. And that's going to go, I'm going to find the center of that strawberry right there. And you're going to go ahead and bring that right there, okay? Now once we have that, what I like doing is looking in my cooking for patterns. One cool thing about this is we can go banana, strawberry, banana, strawberry, and I'm going to wrap this one up with one more banana right at the top. Now, that right there is our tasty, handy, snacky, fruity skewer. We made it ourselves, and it's perfect to snack on. I want to make sure I keep this one cold. And I want to make sure that these banana pieces don't get all brown because they get brown pretty easily. So I'm going to keep them in the refrigerator and keep those nice and chilly. To keep those in the refrigerator and make sure that nothing goes brown on those, I'm actually going to look for help from one more ingredient. And that last special ingredient to keep this nice and fresh even when I put it in the refrigerator is actually a lemon. Lemons have something really special inside, and I bet you already know. You all are saying it through the screen. Yeah. Lemonade. No, I'm just kidding. It doesn't have lemonade inside. It's got lemon juice. And that lemon juice is things that people do squeeze out, and they actually use that to make things like lemonade. They mix it with water and sugar, and it makes things like sour, sweet kind of. But that juice in this lemon is really, really important for cooking. It's important for cleaning, and it's important for life, okay? It's got lemon juice in there, okay? And lemon juice has citric acid in it. I'm gonna explain a little bit more about that to you. But for now, I'm gonna go ahead and get my handy knife. This process, you're probably gonna need some help from your family just because it's, you're gonna need something a little bit sharper to get through the tough skin that this lemon has. It's got called a rind on the outside. So I'm gonna use this thing called a serrated knife right here. And I'm still gonna use my cutting board, same idea that I was doing with my butter knife. But now I'm gonna go ahead and just cut this right here. And I've actually been squeezing this lemon just a little bit. And what that does is it actually bruises the inside just a little bit. And it actually allows the lemon to release even more of its juice. We're gonna use some of that juice and we're just gonna sprinkle it right on top of our snack right here. And when that happens, it's gonna stop this from staying brown. It's gonna keep it tasting super fresh. It's gonna give it a little bit of a lemon-y flavor. And when we have this snack, it's gonna taste just like when I first made it. With a serrated knife, you're gonna go ahead and actually use that a little bit like a saw. I'm just gonna go ahead and gently squeeze it right across here so that it gets a little bit on every piece of fruit. So this right here is our second recipe, our handy, fruity, snacky skewers. And we put some lemon juice on them to prevent them from getting too brown before we enjoy them. Our next recipe, though, is going to be golden brown and delicious. Okay, so this last recipe is a classic. We're talking about banana pancakes. I know here in our household, my Ohana loves it. So this is a classic that we love enjoying, especially on Sunday mornings. But you're gonna need a lot more tools for this one. You're also gonna need access to the stovetop. So this one's really for our older people who are really watching right now, those of us who have access to the kitchen a little bit more, or maybe asking for a little bit more help from your family, okay? Still, we're just talking about two ingredients. We're talking about bananas and we're talking about eggs. These bananas are grown here. These eggs were laid here. So we're talking about some really fresh, some really local ingredients here. And I'm gonna give you kind of a rough estimate of what things look like. I'm gonna show you how to crack some eggs for this recipe. That's a really important skill for cooking anything, okay? But the big thing is that I'm not gonna really tell you exactly how many to use. The important thing about this recipe is more the shape and the texture of the dough that you're making before, the batter you're making before you go ahead and actually make pancakes. We are making pancakes here, so I do have some syrup ready for that as well. Now, the thing that I've noticed for this recipe is that if you got any bananas that are like this one, maybe they're like a little bit more brown, maybe a little more mushy. These are perfect for some banana pancakes because they're easier to mush up and they're sweet, so your pancakes end up being really sweet. Bananas are really interesting because they start off not being that sweet when they're green, and they actually go through a process of maturation that makes them more ripe as they go along, and it makes their sugars actually come out more. So if you wait longer, they will be sweeter. It's important for you to think about that as you're choosing and eating your fruit, okay? I'm gonna go ahead and actually get a bowl this time. This one's gonna take a little more preparation, okay? So I'm gonna get my bowl here. So here's my banana. I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm actually gonna go gorilla style and peel this bad boy open right here. I'm gonna take that whole peel off. Even though bananas can be brown on the outside, they still usually look pretty good on the inside. This one might have a little bit more, yep, right there we're seeing a couple more sweet spots right there. Perfect for our pancake right here. I'm gonna cut this one horizontally again because I'm looking for this time the smallest fractional pieces I can possibly make. Because what I'm gonna do is put it in this here bowl. I'm gonna mush it all up with an egg. Once I do that, it's gonna make a batter that I can put here on this stovetop. Now, while I'm here at this stovetop, I'm actually gonna start just turning it on. This is the time where you're gonna wanna talk to your family, because turning on the stove turns on the heat. Turning on the heat is a really big responsibility, and you need to make sure you're always keeping an eye on it. So I'm right here cutting my banana, and I'm gonna be cracking my egg. In the meantime, I'm gonna let this stovetop heat up, and it's gonna be heating up just a little bit. We're gonna talk more about stove safety, but I'm gonna look right at it over here. I'm gonna make sure that there is nothing else on top of the stove. I'm gonna make sure there's nothing plastic around the stove, there's nothing paper around the stove, because this thing is gonna get hot, okay? So this kind of thing hanging right over that black surface, even though this part of the stove isn't gonna be on, you don't want that hanging over there. You're gonna want that going off and off to the side in a more safe spot, okay? So now we're looking at a clear stovetop. I'm on here. It's on 0. I don't have it on yet. Every stove is gonna be different, so we'll talk more about stoves later, but I'm gonna turn this one on, and for the families watching, this one's actually gonna go on a heat level of just a 3. It's gonna be really low, medium heat, just to let this pan heat up a little bit while I finish preparing these pancakes right here. And this batter is gonna just take 2 ingredients. First ingredient is our banana right here. Like I said, I'm gonna cut it into the smallest fractional pieces I can. Horizontally, watching out for my fingers, making sure that I got space here for my body, and going ahead and cutting that banana. This one is not really as important about being as pretty as all your other cooking, because this one actually is going to be all mushed up. Like I said, it's going to make a completely different food. Now, when things get cooked on the stovetop, they actually go through a different process that makes them completely different. So these bananas are going to look different when we're done with them, okay? So here they are. I might even cut them up just a little bit more by cutting them right across here to make them even smaller pieces that are easier to mush up, okay? I'm going to get this bowl right here. I'm going to take all these banana pieces and put them right in there. Now, these banana pieces are gonna go in here, and I'm going to get my egg ready. Eggs come from chickens. Chickens are spectacular. Chickens, while some people may not think too much of chickens, I'll tell you what, they make some amazing stuff in this world, okay? They really help us out on our farms, and they definitely provide us with one of the most amazing and creative and useful things in the kitchen. That is an egg. The amazing, incredible egg. So we got it right here, and we're gonna have to use this because it's filled with fats, filled with proteins, it's filled with all sorts of things that your body is going to actually need. But you're gonna have to get it out of that egg shell. That's what keeps it safe, okay? So this is where it gets a little tricky, and I'm gonna show you how to open up an egg. It's a lot different. You can't really do it gorilla style like a banana. So you're gonna have to actually find your own method to do this. What I do is actually try and find the flattest surface I can. And for me, that's usually my countertop. So I find the countertop. And here's a little tip. In case you're making a bunch of batter and you got a bunch of bananas in here, you don't wanna just crack your eggs into here. Here, actually what you could do is use a bowl. When you use a bowl, you can actually make sure you crack your egg into that. So if you do get any shells, you can actually pick out the shells because, well, we all make mistakes in the kitchen sometimes. We all make mistakes in life sometimes. So it's all about making sure you just move forward and just try again. So I'm gonna try and crack this on this soft spot. That's where practice becomes important. You need to make sure you don't hit it too hard, because then you're gonna get egg all over this countertop, and that's not gonna help you. You need this egg to softly open this shell and then get into that bowl. So here we go. There is a soft hit. I'm seeing a little crack. That's enough. I'm not going to go any further. Instead, I'm going to go ahead and bring it over to the bowl I'm cracking it into. I'm going to find that crack and start to carefully pull that crack open and just work it to allow this egg to empty out into this bowl. I'm actually going to throw this shell away immediately. This stuff can also be put in the compost as well with the rest of your banana peels. But whatever you do, you want to make sure you wash your hands after you work with eggs. All that eggy stuff all over, or even if you're working with chickens, like you're eating chicken, you're going to definitely want to wash your hands, maybe even a little bit more, because you're going to want to watch out for what they call salmonella. Salmonella is what can actually get an infection in your body and make you sick, and it's really something we're not trying to do when we eat food. So here's our egg right here, and I think it's important for you to really see what's going on. So we got our bowl here, and right in there is the egg. Now we got the egg white, which is not exactly white. It's actually just really light yellow right here. And that's what we're talking about, that is actually outside of the yolk. The yolk is that yellow stuff on the inside. That's the part that has a lot of the protein, a lot of the fat, and there's a lot of protein on the egg white as well. But a lot of these nutrients and a lot of these different parts of this egg are different parts that do spectacular things for our body and for our cooking. So what I'm going to do is actually go ahead, and now I can take this egg and put it in here with the rest of this banana. So now as we start making our way and getting ready, our pan's actually heating up here. I had to turn it down just a little bit. You always want to keep an eye on your stove. Started to see things starting to heat up just a little bit, so I turned it down. I do want it hot, but I don't want it too hot, okay? Again, that's why you're going to want to have some help from your family. So I got my eggs and my banana. That's all this recipe needs. I've got my fork and I've got my bowl. I'm going to go ahead and actually try and mush these bananas as much as I can into that egg. And it's going to make kind of like a little bit of a mix here. Mush this thing up, and mushing it up is what's going to make this look like pancake batter. Those of y'all that have ever had pancakes before or waffles before, this is going to look a lot like that, okay? Not exactly like it, but this is something that we could definitely enjoy as a treat with our family, okay? Because it's all about eating good food, eating good fruits, eating good vegetables, and making sure that all the things that you do are things that you find important. So as you can see, I'm starting to get this a little bit more like a batter, starting to mush this up a lot more, take a lot more work. Some more time. I actually ended up adding another banana to this batter because I felt like it was just a little too liquidy from the egg. So I added another banana, and one thing I want to show you is like this doesn't have to be perfectly smooth. It can actually be kind of chunky, and the bananas are going to smooth out when you make it. We got our stovetop here, and actually one thing that it is hot. I can tell it's hot because I can feel some of this heat coming from the pan. And what I did, I just took some oil here. You want to use some oil that's good for some high heat. And what I got here is some oil just waiting here. And oil adds a nice layer of fat down to the bottom layer of your pan to make sure that really when these pancakes get on there, nothing sticks. Now I got my pancake batter waiting for me right here. And that's when I'm going to make sure I transfer it over to my pan. This is a pan because the top, the sides are low, not like a pot, which is a lot higher. And I'm going to actually use this 1/4 cup measuring cup. You don't really need one that is a specific measurement. I like using this size because it helps give me pancakes the size that I like. Not too big, but not too small. And I'm actually going to carefully pour it right on my pan. We'll see some of that oil right there. We're going to see this go ahead right on there. You might see a little bit of browning, a little bit of steam, a little bit of smoke immediately. You definitely don't want to see a lot of smoke immediately, not for this recipe, because then that means your pan is way too hot. Now, I probably wouldn't put any more pancakes on this pan just because when you're cooking, you don't want to put too much food on one pan. That's going to be what they call crowding your pan. It's going to actually take all that heat and actually make your pan a little bit cold. If your food is being cooked in a cold pan, it's actually not going to cook as well as you think it might cook, okay? Like we said, cooking is all about being thoughtful and mindful. So we got our pan here, and we've got actually 2 pancakes cooking in here. And another important thing with cooking is sometimes you don't do anything. Sometimes you sit here and you wait and you watch, okay? And while you watch, you just start to really think about what's happening here. What you're seeing here is these pancakes right here on this stovetop here. And what you're gonna start seeing and really look for is this bubbling right here. You see that bubbling? Once we see that all over, consistently, all over those pancakes, that's gonna tell me that that other side is perfectly browned and is ready to flip. Now I'm using this spatula here. This spatula has a non-stick side to it because I do not want to scratch this type of pan. Once you start scratching these type of pans, your ohana is not going to be happy with you because that stuff can get in your food. Remember, we're trying to be healthy in this kitchen, so we want to be mindful of how we can be healthy. This one on the side right here is looking like it's got some great bubbling going on. This one looks like it's cooking right here. This one's just about ready to flip. So I'm gonna show you that nice and close right here. Okay, I got my spatula. I'm gonna get underneath it with this flat side going, then I'm gonna pick it up with my other hand, work it, make sure I got a nice good side. And you know what? Your pancakes might break like that. That's okay. We'll see if this second one I can make sure and make it a little bit better. What I'm gonna do, that means is I'm gonna let it cook a little bit more. I'm gonna let it get a few more bubbles on there and see if I can get that one a little bit better. Over here, I'm gonna go ahead and straighten this one out a little bit, but really I'm just gonna let it cook at this point. Sometimes your pancakes don't turn out perfectly and that's totally okay. And a good way to make sure that your pancakes don't break like that is actually to use small pancakes. Small dollops. So I use a 1/4 cup measuring spoon. Maybe you'd want to use something a little bit smaller because these measurements really matter, especially when you're trying to make something that you like to eat. So we got our second pancake here. It's bubbling a little bit more, and I'm gonna get underneath it and try and make sure we get a good flip here for y'all. That's pretty. Looking just like a pancake, feeling like the Hawaii House of Pancakes over here a little bit. The more you start to practice in the kitchen, like my mother and my father, they can cook in the kitchen and not even look at a clock. And they know everything that's going on because they've been practicing it so much. Me, I've been practicing it a little bit more, so I know a little bit more about when these pancakes are working and when they're cooked. But I make a lot of mistakes too, like y'all saw in that pancake. These have been cooking here for about 30 seconds on the second side now. And I'm not gonna wanna cook them more really than just another 30 seconds. That's gonna give it 1 minute total. And at that point, I'm gonna wanna take them off and they're gonna join the rest of our treats that we've been cooking all day. That's those ants in our log, our handy dandy fruity skewers, and lastly, these banana pancakes. I'm gonna get some syrup because I love putting some maple syrup on my pancakes and get our last piece of our plate ready. So I turned off my stove and we're ready to eat. Ants in my log. I've got my handy skewer right here, and right on the end I'm gonna put my banana pancake. For me, what always finishes off a banana pancake or any pancake is some maple syrup. I got a little bit of maple syrup here, fresh from some family over in Vermont, and I'm really excited. I'm just gonna put a little bit on top, and that's gonna finish off my whole little snack here. Like I said, I got a very special friend joining me here, so I wanna make sure I put a little bit of syrup on here. Now this snack is bananas. So thanks for joining me here, and I just wanted to say, like, one of the best parts about cooking is actually getting to share it with other people. And I'm gonna be sharing this snack here with her. So here you go. Like I said, it's bananas. And like I just really appreciate y'all joining us here. We're looking forward to our next week's episode, but thanks again for joining us here. And E Ola Pono with Mr. E.